All right. Well, we're back, and RB is back. Most importantly, first Trilogy Office Talk back for RB after the new edition.
Yeah, excited to be back in the mix. I saw the one that you had without me. I was kind of bummed to have missed that, and now I get the return, and like it's just like a ho hum return guest. Like,
oh, wow! What an intro! What an intro! Well, I'll pump his tires. I'll pump his tires for him.
I mean, I see him all the time. I talk to him all the time. I mean, this could be just a phone call. This could be a phone call on one of his drives to and from his work commute. Or
Ryan's one of the few people that I still speak to on the telephone. People don't do that anymore.
No, it's a rare. It's a rare.
Both
quality.
of our stuff in the summer or coaching, there's moments when we're driving and. Instead of like texting him something, I'll call him like, hey, what do you think about this or that or whatever? And then 30 minutes later, we're at our destinations and all right, see you later.
I love a good old-fashioned phone call.
Me too. It doesn't happen much anymore with most people I interact with. So
driving is a good. I was just talking to my wife, Hannah, about that. Like driving is a great way to kills the time and you get to catch up and you're not distracted by 15 other things. And Ryan typically adds another 30 to 45 minutes to the call because he takes a wrong turn. So you always get an extra time with RB on the phone. He's driving.
You know who's good if you were ever to have him on too, because he can talk if you get him on the phone. It's very counterintuitive if you know him as a person, but Brody. Brody will call me all the time. The only time he ever texts is when he needs someone's phone number. But if he and if you try and text him for information, it just goes off into like a abyss. Like nothing ever comes back. But if you call him, he'll answer and then he'll talk to you so we have similar age children. So we always laugh about the dynamic of parent coaching, meaning like you're trying to coach and parent your own children at the same time while having backgrounds in the same sport that don't coincide with the other people that are doing what you're doing. So it's a really interesting dynamic of trying to handle it. And I know, Mitch, you're just learning it for the first time with George, but it'll as they get more and more competitive and show more and more interest or disinterest, then it actually is way more. It's way more stressful on you as the challenge gets greater.
Yeah. Well, let's not assume too much about our guests because you're very
we have to do the intro
guy, but we got to give you a proper introduction. So, not the first time you've been on a Trilogy podcast. Second time, although that was the COVID days of the Trilogy Office Theater, also TOT, but or Trilogy Lacrosse Theater. But now we're back. Trilogy Office Talk. We've got Springfield, Pennsylvania native from Georgetown. I was doing a little deep diving. It said at the time of graduation, you were the ground ball record holder. I'm guessing Brody broke that since you graduated. Yeah,
that's true.
But two-time all ECAC Player of the Year. That's impressive. Did not know that. 3-time All-American, 2-time Team USA, U.S. Lacrosse Hall of Fame, and Pro Lacrosse Hall of Fame. U.S. Lacrosse in 2023 and then Pro in 2024. Is that right?
Coincidentally, they were the same year, so it was odd.
Banner year for 2024 for the Sweeney family, and one of the founders of Maverick Lacrosse, and now most importantly, Northeast Regional 3rd, 4th grade division championship co-coach with myself.
You mean this?
Oh,
Should I wear this?
There you go. Kyle Sweeney, welcome to the Trilogy Office Talk.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Love being here with you guys.
Is it just the second time? I thought this was the third somehow.
No, I'm one. I don't know how many people consume the Trilogy podcast, but I'm one of them. And so I do often follow-ups with you, Ryan, about we would have had you on last year during the college playoffs if Georgetown made it past the quarterfinals. Wow. There we go.
Too soon? Too soon?
It's been since 1999. I don't think
too soon. Or should we pre-book you for the first round this coming spring?
Well, I've been told from my sources that if there was ever a year, this is the year for a return to Memorial Day weekend. Apparently, they just whooped up on College Park the other day. So, anyway. Oh, and by the way, on the ground ball thing, another little kind of a asterisk on it. Andy Corno is actually the ground ball leader, which is
face-off guy. Yeah,
just like with Greg Grenley, also Springfield High School guy. It's like, I don't know. They win the face-off. Is it a ground ball? I don't know. I guess so.
Yeah, there should be a face-off ground ball category, I think.
Well, not to mention, most of the time when Greg won, ball would never even went on the ground.
That's true. That's true. Is that truly a ground ball?
I guess it started on the ground. So
a clamp. Well, let's dive in.
Where do you want to start, Mitch? You want to start?
I think we gotta set the stage here. Part of the reason why, Coach Sweeney, this is the week that we're excited to have you on is because we just launched our Future Aces Philly. So we've run the Future Aces program, basically a high-level overnight camp for middle school players. We've been doing this for, there's probably 2011 was the first one we ever did. It was called Middle School Invitational, but I think we've been doing it close to 15 years now. And those events now, we've got one in Jersey, Massachusetts, and Baltimore. They sell out every year. All three of those are close to sold out now. And Philadelphia, hotbed of lacrosse, always had to come down to Baltimore or go up to Jersey if they wanted to come to the Future Aces. But now they've got one right in Philadelphia at Eastern University, which we utilize for some other camps. And it's an amazing setting. But who knows Philadelphia more than Kyle Sweeney, Mr. Philadelphia Barrage, Philadelphia Wings. I don't know if you consider Springfield, Delco. Is Delco part of Philadelphia? That's up for debate. Maybe we start there.
Well, technically, no. Technically, it's in the Delaware County. I was born in Philadelphia when we moved to my father's from Southwest Philadelphia. My mother is from Chestnut Hill, which is in Philadelphia. And then because Philadelphia is the first American sprawling city, right? If you think about like New York was, Manhattan was an island and it didn't really have a sprawl. You had a natural topographical border of the river that prevents it, right? Philadelphia was the first city that it just moved westward, right? So there's no definitive lines the way there are, say, like in Boston where Cambridge, the Charles River divides Cambridge from Boston, or so on and so forth.
Schuylkill, it's on both sides of the Schuylkill. The Schuylkill kind of goes right to the middle. Is that right?
Right. It's on both sides of the Schuylkill, but then the Delaware River divides it from New Jersey. But everything north and west of the Schuylkill is just continual sprawl. So you just, as you're driving out of Southwest where my father grew up through 69th Street, you're moving. At some point, you get to Delaware County, and there's no big you don't go over some bridge and welcome to Delaware County, right? So like the Philadelphia Airport, for example, is in Delaware County. And the Philadelphia Airport,
the statue of Kyle Sweeney, that's the welcoming into Delco, right? The statue of Kyle Sweeney.
Absolutely not. I could probably tell you the first good cheesesteak place after you pass Phil's on Oregon Avenue and you get starting to go over that way. But either way, there's no, there's like Cobb's Creek, and then eventually you're automatically in the Delaware County. So it's very much, my house to the stadium is like 7 miles as the crow flies, right? From city limits, it's probably under 2 miles as the crow flies. So it was never one of these things as a kid where you were like, okay, we're out in the country, the suburbs. Like I didn't even know what a suburb was. Our houses were small. You didn't travel far outside of your community and, down to the city, and that was back. But like it was the train that comes, the trolley that runs through town is, if you get the express, it's like 7 minutes or 9 minutes, something like that, to 30th Street. So it's very, very close, very quick. So it was not that. So is it technically part of Philadelphia? No. Is it part of the Philadelphia community? Absolutely. Especially if you've been there lately and the people and their work ethic and their passion towards Philadelphia sports, then absolutely it's part of Philadelphia.
I would love to talk about kind of the evolution of Philadelphia lacrosse, because I think it's a really, interesting and kind of noteworthy, just in terms of kind of where it's been versus kind of where it is now, right? And we'll get to where it is now in a minute. But kind of growing up Philadelphia Lacrosse. Obviously, lacrosse was prevalent. You have the wings, you have that kind of box culture. There's obviously lots of field lacrosse going on, but it is not Baltimore. It is not Long Island. Like back in the kind of 80s, 90s, like it was considered to a degree, not like burgeoning, but like definitely a step down, right? Like in terms of from a hotbed standpoint, like what was it? What was it like in terms of kind of growing up in Philadelphia, playing lacrosse? And now we'll kind of shift to where it is now, or we'll shift to where it is now in a minute. But like, what was it like growing up in Philadelphia playing lacrosse when you were kind of in your heyday?
So I moved to the town of Springfield, and I was a typical baseball, football, basketball kid. My father played college football. All of his buddies played college football, of course, similar to what, how we're friends with people from Arco. And we moved to this town where some of his college teammates live, Springfield. And unbeknownst to us, obviously, due to a lack of information, and by lack of information, of course, I mean lack of internet, right? You don't know what's around you. We had no idea that we were in a very rich lacrosse community relative to the rest of the communities in the greater southeastern Pennsylvania. So my father's college teammate said, "Hey, my son's playing in the state championship tonight." And it happens to be at Marble Newtown, which is only about 30 minutes away. So my dad said, "You guys want to go?" Brother and I said, "Yep." Hop in the back of the car. We go to the game. Unbeknownst to me, the goalie on the other team, and probably unbeknownst to everyone other than him, the goalie on the other team was going to go on to be the greatest goalie of all time. And his name is Brian Doherty. And this is 1992. So I was in 6th grade, and I still had never played lacrosse. I was a baseball kid. I was a catcher. I mean, in my head at that time, I was going to play quarterback in the NFL, no doubt, right? Then, obviously, size.
You and me both. You and me both.
Yeah, exactly, right? There were some things that got in the way of that, mostly genetic. And what ended up happening is Springfield won the game versus a private school, Episcopal Academy, and it was a close game. It was exciting. I mean, whatever a high school football stadium holds, maybe 5,000 people. It was so intense to me. I don't remember this, but the way my dad tells the story is we were driving home in the car. He's like, "Dad, I think we're good with baseball. I think we're going to be finished with baseball. We want to play lacrosse." So the next year, my brother and I played.
This was 6th grade, you said? You were like middle schooler?
Yeah. Yep. So, and it was, baseball was so-so to me. I was a catcher to stay interested. Baseball obviously has its challenges from an interest level with youth males. So long story short, next year we went out, we played for the local town, the rec town, Springfield Athletic Association. And the rest is kind of history. But even then I did not know that Springfield had a long history. I mean, Springfield has had a team since 1976. Their first state championship, I think, was in 1978. Now, keep in mind, it was a lot smaller. The whole western part of the state hadn't started playing yet. A couple schools out in Pittsburgh, Sewickley Academy, Shady Side, some private schools out there. But for the most part, it was Pennsylvania with the Interact, which is Episcopal, Haverford School, Malvern Prep, Germantown Academy, Penn Charter, Chestnut Hill, Springside. Those are factories. So they always, of course, had programs. And the rest of the schools, the public schools, were slowly starting to get it. So the Central League, which is the league our football team played in, I think has 10 schools in it. I think only 5 or 6 of them had lacrosse when I got to high school. And now not only do they all have them, they're all good. They're all very good.
Do was there like a Pied Piper in Springfield, or like a guy that kind of like founded the program in like the 70s why was it bigger in Springfield than all the other towns?
Was he from Long Island?
No, I do know his name is Stu Brown. He passed away last year at a late age. He founded the sport in our community. His son, Bob Brown, was one of the first graduate. I think he was on the 78 team. Coincidentally, lives not far from me now. And Stu was a legend in our town and built the program on his own goodwill. I don't totally know how he found the sport, and I think he might have went to college in a southern area, in a mid-Atlantic area. But Stu was the reason, and then all the boys started playing. And then because they had instant success, there was this legacy of kids. I mean, there was a guy from 88 Mike Manley, who was, or 90, might have graduated, just a stud. He played at Notre Dame. So we were sending kids to Division I programs in the 80s. A legend, Greg Campbell, who sadly passed away early. We all wear stickers on our heads from Greg. We thought he was the best lacrosse player we'd ever seen. Because he didn't get the pan out, we still live, we still abide by that. He went to Penn State, he went to Delaware, we sent guys to Penn State. It was so we were putting people at programs at an early age, very, very early age. At an early time in the lacrosse age of southeastern Pennsylvania.
It's so funny, like how much the sport, especially kind of like pre-internet, 70s, 80s, 90s, was like a guy, right? Just like a guy was in a community, looked left, looked right, and was like, I guess I'll kind of start this. I like love the sport that much. I have so much passion for it that like I will get this going. I will be the literal boots on the ground to kind of make this happen, kind of for my community. And it's such a cool aspect of the sport, I think, in terms of just like that growth, like of just like wildfire, just you could point to like a single origin point of like that guy then kind of impacted like these 2, these 3, these 5, and then it just kind of grows and grows and grows. And it's wild, and appreciate you kind of honoring Stu and kind of what he's done to the community. I know there's a lot of names that we're going to throw out in terms of the evolution, but I do have one in my back pocket that probably hasn't come up in a while in your world. You know where I'm going. And
it's relative to Springfield?
Oh, yeah.
Tom
and
Slade.
That is, oh, no. Oh. I want to hear about Johnny Brasco.
Okay, we'll talk about John in a minute. There's a legacy that started in Springfield well before Johnny, well before me, of course. And it was with long stick. It was with defensemen, but specifically long stick middies. And there was a style that that Springfield long stick play that's different, or at the time was considered different. And there was this guy, Tom Slate. So contribute back to the wings. Having the wings being in Philadelphia was a big part of the evolution of southeastern Pennsylvania, Philadelphia lacrosse.
Or like one of the first in-market teams with like in-market guys, right?
Well, what it afforded is a couple things. It afforded people from the greater Philadelphia area to be able to live in market and play, right? Come home and not be forced to go play somewhere else, okay? And next thing you know, they build a community elsewhere. It also allowed people from outside the community to come here to play. So like a Timmy Goldstein, and who now his sons are, obviously you see what his sons are doing at Cornell. He's a legend at Cornell, U.S. player. And because of the wings, there was a really strong club lacrosse culture. Club lacrosse, for everyone that's younger than us on the phone here on the Zoom now, club lacrosse was the old pro lacrosse. And what I mean by that is there was no MLL.
Post-collegiate men's club teams.
So those guys that were like a Tony Resch of the world, who played football and lacrosse at Yale, was on 2 U.S. teams, played for the Wings, eventually coached the Wings. On Tuesday nights in the summer, he would be, he was probably in his late 20s, early 30s, still jacked out of his mind. He'd be playing club lacrosse against another team sponsored by a bar or whoever, a company or whatever it might be. And it would be one of the most competitive games you would see.
Yeah, like Team Toyota would have like the gates on it, right? And they would come up and play against Tony and
correct
the team that he had.
So that was the bigger one. That was like the spring league. In the summer, each one of those respective cities, Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia, they would have their own local club team. And MAB Paints, his name was Jim Bruder. He also he passed away recently. His son Jimmy played at Delaware, was in the mix for the 98 U.S. team, got cut, one of the last cuts. He would sponsor a team, MAB Paints, and you would go, like kids like me in high school would go watch that. Go watch these Tuesday night games, be like, holy shit. And Gary and Paul lived in the market because they were playing for the Philadelphia Wings. So we would go to just Google these guys and be like, oh my God. And then so Tom Slate was part of that community. He played for the Wings. He's from Springfield. He stayed local, and he gave back to the program a lot. He gave people older than me, wings gear, long poles, because he was playing in the MLL too when the MLL first started in 2001 or 99. I guess they did their pro tour thing. So he played a very flashy style. He was a lefty, threw checks, pushed the ball in transition, similar build, makeup of me, very, athletic, like not a big pounder, just like and then that started the culture at Springfield. After him was, I don't want, I'm going to leave someone out, someone's going to get offended, but it was Dave DiPaolo. Dave DiPaolo ended up being a first-team All-American at Salisbury, won a national championship, scored a goal in the national championship. John Brasco played at Hopkins and then Loyola. Then I was right behind. John and I played 3 years together in high school. Behind me was Ryan Adolph and so on and so forth. And there's all these guys. Ryan O'Connor right now is the captain of Penn State, and he plays a very similar style for me. And we had a high school coach named John Heisman who also played defense at Ithaca, IC. And he's a wild man. He's crazy, but he just loved throwing checks, and he loved the way. So he encouraged us to play that way.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Man Up for 2 years.
I know you were. So
we had two poles. Me and Johnny.
I know. On
Man Up. So we would run like a 1-4.
Yeah.
It was mostly a 1-4 with one of, I'm either the shooter or the point guy. And we would run and he had all sorts of stuff that would, I still don't understand it. Like I would pick down in the crease. I'd bury myself in the crease and
bury the boy like I'm on offense, man.
I'm not staying here, guys. Next thing you know, a seal on the backside, I come off and boom. Right. And so that was like the culture of that was a specific, starting with Tommy and Billy Adolph and those guys. And they started a culture defensively within our community that has not gone away since.
And I was going to get to Slater, but Johnny Brasco, Mitch, for me, was like the introduction to Philadelphia lacrosse, right? So like I'm at top 205 and this is, again, pre-internet. No one knows who anybody is outside of your own community, right? And you get there, you get to this event, and you're lining up to do like one-on-one drills. And there's this guy who's, it's a superhero name, right? It's a character that like John Cena would play in a movie. It's like Johnny Brasco, right? And like we're getting in these drills, and Petro with his big booming voice is like, Brasco, get in there, and like everybody else in line is like, who the F is this guy? And he's throwing these crazy checks when everybody defensively is like super sound and fundamental, right? And he's throwing these crazy checks. He's pushing the ball in transition. And then there's like, oh, he also plays on Man Up, and you're like what? Like mind blown. Like, do they not have other guys? Is this guy that good? like what in the world? And meanwhile, that lo and behold, you find out that, he's actually on this team, this other crazy long pole, but just with a less cool name, I guess.
Yeah, that's the truth. And he was obsessed with the sport. We weren't incredibly close friends. We're not incredibly friends, but we're in touch. But he was obsessed with the sport. I remember going into his bedroom one time, and he had a list on his wall of his goals. I think I was 15 years old, 14 years old. I was like, I don't know. My goal is see if we can get ice cream tonight after dinner. Right? Like, we'll see, maybe. His goals had, play Division I, make the U.S. team. So, and so he actually was on the under-19 team in, I'm not sure, same year. Perna, Schroeder. There was a very, very, very good team. I think Trevena might have been on that team.
Yep.
And they went and just killed everybody. I think it was in Australia too, maybe, which was even cooler. And he just was obsessed with the sport. So he would always like tinker and mess with sticks, and he would string my stick. And then, he knew all the college stuff that I didn't know because without the access, again, staying in my family, we went down to Sea City, New Jersey every summer. So we were just gone. And I had no idea what was going on. The college lacrosse wasn't on TV. Pro lacrosse, the Wings were on TV locally. That was about it. But I had no idea who won. And what really changed is my brother became obsessed with the sport. So my older brother was 2 years above me. He was the one who was driving it. And I still didn't really care. I okay or whatever. I wasn't very good at it. I wasn't practicing it. Again, I'm still going to go play in the NFL. So I just didn't really care. But then eventually when I had success, I started to change my tune a little bit. But my brother Brett, who played in the Centennial Conference, 2-time All-American, he was a good player. He was like all in, signing up for magazine subscriptions, everything that we had related to lacrosse was because of my brother, because he would ask my parents, like, hey, will you pay for this? Will you pay for this? And I was not, I didn't care enough about it to ask for that. Like, if I go to this camp, will you pay for this? So on and so forth. So, but John was the guy who was John back to Brasco. He was always driving me to be better. Like, and as I started to improve, it raised the level of competition between the two of us. And, we had some really good success together as teammates. Of course, we went separate ways in college, but yeah, he was a super talented player.
And I think I'd love to get your opinion in terms of like where the inflection point went, where, this goes from like this insular community, this Philadelphia lacrosse of like this guy, that guy to like, whoa, now it's just like, it's a thing. And for me, from the outside looking in, and I'll use a name for this because because I think that's how culture works. For me, it's Rambo. I think like when you look at Philadelphia lacrosse kind of tilting, going like from this to this, the number one recruit in the country, guy goes to Maryland, leads that program to their first national championship in, a gazillion years. And then next thing you know, like having a guy from Philadelphia on the top rosters, top recruiting classes, whether that's Docs, right? Whether that's Grant, right? Whether that's Sowers, like, then it's just like, it's just normalized. I like, for me, like Rambo kind of like normalized that, if that makes any sense. So
I see your Matt Rambo, and I'm going to raise you one name. I was at the Pennsylvania State Olympics. Lacrosse became a sport, and so they divided the lacrosse into the state into two regions, East and West. So we went out there, and it was kind of a foregone conclusion that we were going to win. And I must have been a junior, and they had a fresh.
I think I know where you're going. I
saw this kid, and I was like, "Oh!" I saw him do this thing. He's cutting like diagonal shooting. He's cutting, and he's cutting to his right. The lefty attacker throws it high, and he reaches up, catches it with one hand, jumps like kind of like the Jordan Jumpman pose, catches it, buries it backside. No one says a word, just gets back in the line. So, I see you were Matt Rambo, and I raise you John Christmas.
Yeah.
Because so when I saw John Christmas play, I was like, oh, wow. And we became really good friends. And then another inflection point would be my senior year in high school. We had a really strong group of kids. I mean, there's a Hopkins, multiple Penn State, two to Georgetown, Chris Viola at Cornell, a kid to Brown, multiple to Penn. So these winter tournaments, again, this is going to blow everyone's mind, because when club lacrosse didn't exist at the youth level, there would be these winter tournaments. There was one at Washington College, and we said, hey, like, let's go out and play in these things. Like, we can beat these teams. We go to these camps. Like, I go to top 205, and I was like, all right, well, there's nothing I can't do here, right? So I was like, let's take. So I put this team together, and it was like me, this guy Rob Booth, John Christmas, Trevor Walker, Timmy Muir, Chris, and we would go down. We had to get somebody to pay for our entry and buy us uniforms. Penn Star, Craig Stretch, he owned a helicopter company, medevac company. And lo and behold, we went down there, and it was at Washington College. We beat the hell out of everybody.
Just sidebar, having a medevac company as your sponsor, good or bad? I don't know. I don't know what that says. It's like
it was Penn Star. I mean, like,
we're ready. We're ready if anyone gets paralyzed, but we hope we don't need it.
We would play. Like, Crabs had a team back then, and like we beat the hell out of them. And I know it was the winter, and it doesn't mean anything. And I remember coming back, and I was like, my brother, who was in college at the time, he called me like, how'd I go? I was like, back at home. I was like, dude, I think Philly Lacrosse is like, I think we're here. Like, I think we've arrived. And so that to me, that was 98, 99, where, our recruiting class, I was really highly touted, but our recruiting class from Pennsylvania was was sending kids everywhere.
Well, I also wonder, it's like probably the inflection point is like Rambo, and also you had like the proliferation of sports media, internet sports media. Like he kind of came at the right time. So he was almost like the face of Philly.
Yeah.
That was the first like
the reason why I say John,
you also look at it. You also look at just from a generational standpoint, all the people that he referenced in the 70s and 80s, right? Now they're having kids, right? Right. And so their first generation playing, and then now we're talking about the second generation of like those guys that were first generation are now having kids, and also then having they're now their coaches that have played, right? So that's where you really see kind of that first to second generational that jump.
Yeah. I mean, there's a guy from Springfield, Matt Baylor. He was Ryan's teammate at Princeton, won a national championship. So that was starting to happen. We had guys going to win national championships. In our class, this guy, Chris Bickle, and Brad Walters, they both won natties at Syracuse. John goes down the reason why I keep coming back to John is John goes starts right away freshman year. His name is Johnny Christmas. His name is Johnny Christmas, right?
I mean, Brasco, Christmas, Rambo. His names are.
And he's incredibly, his game was, not like flashy in a negative way. His game was a lot more attractive than a catch and shoot finisher.
Yeah. He had flair.
He went down there and won. And then next thing you know, like from 99, 2000, 2001. Pennsylvania had a top 1 or 2 recruit every year, right? And the next, oh my God, there's someone local winning a national championship every year. Ryan Binder was my year, won a national championship at Virginia. That was the turning point, I feel like. And then with that, of course, came like Inside Lacrosse from a magazine standpoint, and they started publishing who recruits were. Right. And that's when I saw Ryan on the cover and all that stuff, and I was like, that guy looks small. I don't think he's going to be very good. So,
yeah, they had him.
The legend of Ryan Boyle, the basketball player, the quarterback. I was like, here we go. This guy's going to be the worst.
And then, lo and behold, you guys are on the 2011 Inside Lacrosse cover right here.
He's got his hair, the dramatics.
And then we're teammates, and everything changes, right?
Yeah,
Sweeney's
12 years, 13 years, something like that.
Well, let's jump into the Philly Barrage days. So they started as the Bridgeport, Connecticut Barrage,
that's where I was drafted.
And then moved to Philly. Was that when you found out you guys were moving to Philly? Were you like, oh hell yeah, I'm going to be home?
Absolutely. There's actually kind of a funny story, and Roy Colsey tells another funny story about the beginning of his entry into the league, where they went out with the owner, Jake Steinfeld. And they sold him on this whole thing about like you have to make a decision or what you do with your career. Roy says he goes home and tells Chrissy Colsey, his wife's not like, Chrissy, I think I might have to quit teaching to play this. Like this is like going to be a real thing. Obviously, there's a different trajectory there. But I remember, so I got drafted to Bridgeport. We had this owner. What was Ken's actual last name?
No clue. I just know I know Ballbag.
He had a nickname.
Kenny Ballbags.
Yeah, Kenny Ballbag. You get the ballbag. So the owner would walk around and practice and pick up balls. It wasn't even a slight at him. Like that's what he did.
Yeah.
And we played in the Blue Bridge. He also owned the Bridgeport Bluefish, which is let's say that 3 times fast, which is a minor league team there. And we played in their stadium, which is beautiful. It was right
next to 90. I don't think it's there anymore. I think they've replaced that with a concert venue now.
It's been repurposed. You're right. It's been repurposed to a concert venue. It's right on Long Island Sound. The train stops there. I would take the train from Manhattan, get off, and walk to the arena. We were treated very, very well. The crowds were decent, and it was just a cool venue to play in. I mean, it was just really, really neat. We went my first year. Well, the year before I got there, I think they went 0-12. Once me and Rotelli got drafted, we've really changed things. We went 1-11.
Turned it around.
The next year, so we got drafted some other guy. So, but what happened is I found out the team was moving, and I remember calling my parents, being like, "Guys, like this is a big deal." Like I remember telling my teammates, like, "I bet you the first game there's 15,000 people there." I was like, lacrosse is a big deal. I used to go to Wings games. I played on the Wings when we had Tommy Marichek and Dallas Elliott and Jake Bergen. We would get 14,000, 15,000 people. When Gary and Paul were there, real quick.
real quick, I would go to Baltimore Thunder games, and anytime the Wings would come to town, it'd be sold out with all Philadelphia fans.
Yeah. So it was a big deal. And I remember saying, like, this is going to change the trajectory of Philadelphia lacrosse. Lo and behold, the first game, I think there were like 1,500 people there. But that's kind of the humor of it. But the problem is in Philadelphia in the summer, people flee to the Jersey beaches. And then at the same time, and I was having a conversation about this literally yesterday. If anyone remembers, we all do. We three of us were teammates. We played in Denver together on the 4th of July in front of 38,000 people. Right? It was the record for outdoor pro lacrosse, if you guys recall.
Yeah.
And the person I was talking to, like, it's crazy. Even our Cannons game when we all played 12, 13, 14 on a Saturday night. The change in pro lacrosse and the attendance, I can only contribute it to one thing: youth club lacrosse. And by the time you get to June, families despise the sport because of what it's done and how much their time and the commitment and the expense that they've had and the lack of. So the last thing they're going to do is pile into Harvard Stadium on a Saturday night in July. So that's the real change. But when we moved to Philadelphia, I really expected the city to like welcome us. It was a very small group.
There were some welcoming hands. It was just you could count them, you could shake them all. What now? Where did you guys play that first year? Where did you guys play? Villanova. Okay. And then what was Villanova the home for the rest of the existence of the?
No.
Let's take us through the journey. Let's take us through the wandering journey of the Philadelphia Barrage.
We did Philadelphia for 2 years.
I never played in. We played you guys my first year. We played you guys in Rochester in the finals. But there was a West Division and East Division, so we never played Philly. So I never got the joy of experiencing.
Oh, that was your first year?
That was my first year. Yeah.
Welcome to the league with a loss, huh, RB?
The short stick close defender. Thank you very much.
So we played in Villanova for 2 years, and then by the third year, I think the hemorrhaging had ruptured to a point from an expense standpoint that ownership said, we're not going to renew this particular venue. So we played at United. I can't even say it with a straight face. USTC, United Sports Training Center, and it's where they do youth club tournaments now. So they have all these fields. So what they did is they tried to make one of the fields the stadium, and they did that with rollaway bleachers, and it's really far from the city and really far from the more densely populated areas where Springfield, Gladwin, like where lacrosse is very, very prevalent, and was really poorly attended. And that was the last year we did it. And then the fourth year of the Barrage, of the Philadelphia Barrage, the ownership had decided to not move forward anymore. And the league, because we had just won 2 in a row and 3 out of 4 years, they said they couldn't let the team fold. So they funded the team and we just traveled. So we played 12 or 14, whatever it was, 14 road games. The irony of it, I don't know if irony is the right word, but just the humor of it was we would play at these neutral sites, Portland, St. Louis, Dallas. We were the home team. So Mike Foxy, who you know, Foxy got these shirts made. And the joke was like when they would do the introduction, they'd be like, well, because the script was the same. Portland, Oregon, welcome your Philadelphia Barrage. What they were doing is they were shopping the team to see if there was a market that would ultimately take it. And we had a ton of success. I still think we should have won it again for the 4th out of 5th year. We did run into Casey Powell, put a ball in a hole about this big between Doc's head and the pipe in overtime in the semifinal. Otherwise, I think we go on, and then they went on to win the final by.
It crushed them.
30. Yeah. It was one of those. The championship is the semi, or the semi is the championship. So that was it.
Was that the Rattlers? That was the Rattlers when Casey was with the Rattlers.
Yeah. I mean, that team was stacked. Joe Walters,
Junior,
Gavin Proud, Ricky Jr.
Keep going, all of them. Yep.
Mike Levin, Casey Powell,
right?
Brody
Queener,
Merrill,
Levin and Queener.
This is like some young guys will get offended. If you took that game and you peeled Strebel, Roy, if you peel back the layers of like the best time a pro lacrosse has ever had, the most talent on the field, that might be up there.
We should do a get producer Goldberg on to see how many of the Pro Lacrosse Hall of Famers were in that game. It's probably most of them.
So bingo, so that's Splina. So bingo, Doc, Roy, Strebel, Ryan, me. That's it for now. Behind the rest of our team was like Mike Springer.
Well, that was just one team.
That's just your team. But then, but then in the semifinals, Casey, right? Casey's in there.
The other team was Casey, Junior, Brody,
Lavelle. I think Mike Lavelle's in, right?
Lavelle, Brody.
No. Lavelle wasn't on that team. Lavelle was on the team. Mike Levin
was the goalie.
Levs and Queener were the goalies.
Oh my God, Colin Doyle. That team was absurd. Joe Walters was on that team.
Yeah.
I think Sean Lindsay was
Jack Reed.
It was absurd. That was a really talented game. And then the next year, the Barrage was gone. We got disbanded.
Two quick items in terms of our stadiums. We did sprinkle in 1 or 2 games at Penn during the first 2 years. I think it was maybe 1 game. So
at Franklin Field?
Correct. So if you think if it was
Franklin Field.
If a sparsely attended Villanova stadium looks empty, you can only imagine what Franklin Field looks like. And then the USTC, or I'm sorry for butchering it. You could pick out individual fans when they were cheering. Like I'd be like you'd hear a fan, and I'd be like, Mom,
Darcy's here.
Suzanne and Darby, yeah, and then Captain Jack said something, Kyle's dad. Like, you could pick out individual fans. And then the other thing that lives on in infamy, because there is a Barrage text thread, Mitch, that lives to this day. So we're getting ready for our first game, and there's not like traditional locker rooms, right? So we are set up in Team Party 1. Like, imagine, right? You've gone
party room
for children, right? And so next thing you know, we're changing in a room that has full glass windows, and people start walking by as though they're looking at animals in a zoo, and we're like, wait a second. I mean, we're all. The level of just inappropriateness, we're like, oh my God. Next thing you know, Foxy is taping up newspapers to the windows so that we can, I don't know, change in relative privacy. So yeah, Team Party 1 or Team Party A. I forgot exactly what it was.
It was 1. It was 1. It was 1 or 2, one of the other. But it was
Team Party 1, Team Party 2. Yeah.
It was a shame.
Humble beginnings, right?
Yeah, the team was very, very tight, and it was just a function. I do remember one year, and the ownership group and the general manager, Keith Mecca. I mean, they have very successful professional careers. These are very smart men that have made tons and tons and tons of money in their own careers, and they got into the sport. They both, they're familiar with sport. Keith played at Drexel. They got into the Barrage because they love the sport, okay? Not because they needed money, not because they didn't have other opportunities. And they were just playing against a stacked deck, right? Being in the Philadelphia market in the summer, at the beginning of Club Lacrosse. One year, the Final Four was in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field. So if anyone doesn't know how that works, the semifinals are on Saturday. The Division III championship is on Sunday, and then the national championship is on Monday. They tried to schedule a game on Sunday night, thinking, well, not a lot of people go to the Division III championship. It's only 2 teams there, but you've got all these people in the city for the weekend. Let's try and, jump on that and see what we could peel off to our game. I think we might add 3,000 people there. So in some respect it worked, but I mean there were 55,000 people. That was the weekend that Hopkins beat Benson Irwin in overtime, did the thing. Hopkins beat Virginia. So it was the craziest game ever, because Virginia was up a ton, I think, or the other way around. And then there was the storm.
Yeah.
And everyone left. And next thing you know, I hear like someone's like, you hear the crowd roaring. So we all went back in. That's where Jake, is it Jake Byrne? Something Byrne hit that random, that low angle shot to send it to overtime.
Yeah.
Like an ill-advised, you would never say this is no, yeah, but he had no chance. He had no choice. He had to get it on cage. So yeah, it was a great weekend, but for lacrosse in Philadelphia, but it doesn't translate to the professional attendance there.
All right, well, let's now done a little bit of like, oh man, we can't get people. Let's go to the other side of the coin, Philadelphia Wings, where in their heyday, back in the barn, U.S. Lacrosse Convention was there 4 or 5 years ago, packed the place. Kevin Crowley had that sick one-hand goal. I remember behind his head one-handed and then scored one-handed. Like the Wings.
Can you guys repost that on can you repost that on Trilogy? Because that is, you have to find it, but that is one of the most under discussed. It's the sickest.
Producer Goldberg's all over. He's already pulling it up.
I've seen in following that league for 35 years. It's the sickest goal I've ever seen.
It was like his 300th
in a dead straight.
It was a milestone goal. He caught it behind his head and then scored one-handed.
It's one of the greatest catches. It's one of the greatest catches.
Look behind his
head. The guy's on him, but see, and if you do it in slow motion, you have to do it in real speed in slow motion because the speed he's running is insane. It just, you would not in slow motion. Yeah, I could probably catch it that way. Let's see it, right? Let's try it. You sprint, do it 100 times. So many times you catch it behind your bag, catch it and bury it.
Sixers box practice for having everyone cut the middle and firing balls at their head and see who can catch it behind their head. But no, let's talk about. So you talked about Marichek, heyday of the Philly Wings. Talk about some of those memories because I remember going there in the beginning of my career, and it would get Chopper, the guy who would paint his face.
Oh yes,
14,000 people. The one thing I remember the most about the Wells Fargo Center, as it was then, and I think it still is they the stanchions that held up the plexiglass had lights in them, and when you guys would score, the lights would flash on, so like the boards looked like they were flashing red. It was awesome. That was one of the most memorable things that I remember about
before my time.
That and the fans going when the other team would be introduced one by one. You know, you get introduced to be like number 85, Mitch Belisle, and the PA guy would pause. And then
that was still there when you played, Mitch.
Yeah. And then after every goal, they would heckle the opposing goalie with the "It's all your fault."
Yeah. So it was a fun time. So I graduated high school in '99. The Wings won in like 96, 97, 98, something like that. I don't remember, but I know 98 for sure though. So that was my junior year, and Tom Slate from Springfield was on the team. Harry Oldham was either practice squad guy. Jesse DeLonzo was a practice squad guy. Other local legends, Mike Buzza was on the team. So these are all people that I had watched playing like that pro club league.
Was Bergie on that team?
Bergs was on the team.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So back to that summer, Tommy
John Tucker was on that squad.
So back, Kevin Finneran, back to that summer league thing, just a little callback there. When I was in high school and I started to show that I could play, Tommy would take me and play, and I would play in that men's league. And so I was like 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
I remember they made me guard Timmy Goldstein. And Timmy at that time was like, and
he was out of college. He was a couple.
He was probably 30, right? And I had some success against him. So I think that raised some eyes. I remember I took the ball from this other pole, Dave Stilley, and I saw him. I thought he was going to kill him. You got to know who Stilley is. So I just turned and ran to the box as fast as I could. I was terrified of Stilley. Still am, and we're friends. So with Tom on the team, he would leave me tickets whenever. And at this point, I had my license in junior year, so I would go down. My brother had already gone off to college, but I would go down to games. So I'd be like, and I thought I was king shit. I was sitting in the club box. Jake Berge's father, who's on the Philadelphia Eagles Ring of Fame, in the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame, he was sitting right there. And do I say hello? I would say hello. Nicest guy on the planet. He actually passed away Christmas of 2024, which was of course, that, but just an amazing, amazing dude. So you would see all these people, and then Tommy would say, like, hey, stay around after. You get to meet some of the guys. And in high school, of course, like me meeting Kevin Finner and then Paul or Gary and these guys, I was just like mind blown. And then they would go, they won a lot too. So then they would go off in the evening, and I would drive back to Springfield, eyes wide open, with whoever I had taken, probably my mom's minivan, the wood grain on the side. But it was really, really cool. And then in college, I'd come home for winter break, and same thing. Tommy was still on the team, and I got to be around him. But that group, there was no better Philadelphia Wings in that group. I mean, that 98 team, they won again in 2001 when I was in college. They beat Toronto in Toronto. That was crazy. That was crazy. And that was Stilly was on that team. That was like the changing of the guard. There was like, I don't think Gary or Paul were on it. Tom Marichek still was. Dallas was still the goalie, Dallas Eliak. For anyone who doesn't know who Dallas Eliak is, find him on his Instagram. He shows videos of when he played. He was insane. And in a much more challenging time to play goalie, he somehow was amazing.
You missed it. I don't know if you know, Sweeney, his son, Xander, played for us in Utica last year.
Wait, just recently?
24.
But the year before.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that because I ran into him.
It was amazing. Awesome kid and great goalie.
My sixth hat, he's like, what age you? He didn't recognize me. I was like, hey, Dallas, I'm Kyle Sweeney. We played together. And it took him a minute because I was only a couple of years together. And he saw six. He's like, well, are you coaching that team? I said, no, I'm coaching the little guys. But his son's really good too, right?
Yeah, very good.
Very good. Incredible, yeah.
And they're out
similar style, like explosive to the ball. And he's I think he's 11th grader now.
Does he play field?
Nope. Box lifer. Portland, Oregon. Will travel to play box goalie anywhere in the U.S.
Well, do you know how he got to Portland? Do you know how Dallas got to Portland?
Portland Lumberjacks. That was my first NLL game of all time.
With Lumberjacks with an X, not a CKS.
Uniforms in the history of the league.
You know who the number one draft pick to the Portland Lumberjacks was?
Brody
Ever.
Merrill.
Franchise history. Don't say
Brody Merrill.
Was it Brody? I knew Brody. I knew Brody was on the team.
How am I supposed to know if you're asking me or him the question? I thought it was
I'm looking at Mitch. You can't tell.
You remember the Morgan brothers? They were on that team.
Yes.
6'7", 6'8", and 6'9", three brothers.
Dude,
I think two of them played college basketball in Canada. I played with Rich Morgan for a long time with the Swarm. Great group of guys.
They had a couple other guys. I feel like Zwicky got somehow roped into going up there too, but maybe not.
Dan Dawson was on that squad too.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the Wings. That was it. The heyday was then. I got drafted in 05 or in 04. I was I guess it was 03. I was Mr. Irrelevant. I was the last pick of the draft.
I saw when I was looking, I saw like 83rd, 84th. I knew that was towards the tail end of the draft. I didn't know it was Mr. Irrelevant.
I think it was even later next. I think they had like 7 or 8 rounds or something like that.
You were 8th round, yes. 8th round, 83rd, I want to say, 8th round.
Mitch does the diligence. Mitch does the diligence.
Instagram guy put something up the other day about basically the draft picks. So it was something to do with most games played at the lowest draft pick.
Were you up there? Were you in the
number one?
Let's go.
Like usually I know what it was. They said who was Mr. Irrelevant. So they showed the last 25 years of the draft who the last pick was and how many.
It had to be Tutka from Laxmag, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out when we're off. No one needs to watch me scroll through my phone. I'll send it to you. And it was how many games they played. The vast majority is 0, right? You're the last pick of the draft. You don't even make the roster. There's a couple other guys that played, a game here, a game there. So, yeah, I think I was like 150 or something like that game. So, anyway.
Great return on investment for the Wings right there.
What's that?
Great return on investment for the Wings right there.
Well, the reason why I got drafted was because Brody being from Orangeville, there was a guy well, actually, no, I take it back. That's not why I got drafted. I'll tell you that story. So I got drafted just because I was a Philly guy. Adam Mueller was the coach, who was Ryan's coach in the league. Tony Resch was on the staff.
Adam Mueller drafted me as well.
So I got drafted, go to training camp, and I'm having a great camp. There's a strike. We break camp for like 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm the rookie. So a bunch of us were there. Me, Mike Springer, we all went to this camp, and Adam Doniger was there, and basically what happened is they reached an agreement with the CBA the day before. It was like 10 o'clock at night. If they got to midnight, the season was over. The owners had put a deadline. Get a call from Adam, hey, we got to let you go. Like we didn't get to see enough of you. We're just going with who we knew, whatever. It made total sense. I thought that was the end of my career. Adam and Tony were not on the staff the following year. They moved on, and they hired Lindsey Sanderson, who was from Orangeville. And Chris Sanderson was on the staff, and Brody was like, you have to bring him in as a free agent to camp because once you get released, you don't belong to a team. I came into camp. I made the team. I was very excited, and then I didn't play the first 4 games. And then Lindsey said, hey, I said, like, Coach, just curious when you see me again. And he's like, great line. I don't know, Sweeney, you just don't have any game experience. Well, then, not going to get any this way. And he goes, that's a good point. So the next week, whatever, I played up in Buffalo, and then I played 100 consecutive games from that point on.
Wow.
I didn't
realize you had a full year that you didn't play, that you were like eligible, and then you started the next year. That's cool.
I kept thinking but I had no background. There was no reason anyone to pick me up,
Right.
I have one fond memory. I think this is when I was with the Stealth, if I'm not mistaken. And we traveled east to play against the Wings. This is packed barn. We're not having a great year. Wings are doing really, really well. And so I think we get down. I'm not sure exactly what happens, right? But classic, like, fight breaks out, right? So one team's getting throttled, or maybe their team's up and they want to get the crowd going kind of even more. This we're on offense. This fight breaks out, and as you both know, but I'll just center on Mitch here. Like, fight breaks out, right? Like, everybody else just kind of like you kind of grab a guy, right, Mitch? Like, 2 guys are fighting,
locked up,
face wash, like Sweeney and I just find each other. We're like.
We're good here, right?
There's like mayhem, there's chaos, the punches are getting thrown, and it's kind of like, okay, you wash my face. Okay, now I'll wash your face. Like, you're
all right. Let's go to the bench now. Yeah, that was
like, it was like, okay, like I got you. I'm gonna get you good. It's like, okay. But
here's a good NLL story. So unbeknownst to me, so that team, Marty O'Neill was the GM. He got fired. He took Adam and that staff to Minnesota. So Adam was the coach in Minnesota. This is now the year I actually make the team. So it was the 2005 season. And apparently, Philadelphia Wings, we hate Minnesota. I don't know anything about Minnesota, right? So there were some guys on the team that were on the team last year, Dickie Martin and so on and so forth. And the 2 teams didn't like each other. I don't know any of this stuff, right? It's my 3rd game of actually playing. We're hosting Minnesota. They had this really strong face-off guy, really good player, Craig Kahn.
Oh, yeah.
I think he started at UMass, and then I don't know where his career went on from there, but he played in the league for a while. And, he was like rock solid. So he would take a face-off but then play offense. He was a really, really good player. So I was on the ball team. I come up and I just blow him up. He was also the captain, or assistant captain, like legally, like run through him, chasing the ground ball.
It used to be legal. These days, that'd be a penalty if anyone saw that. Last weekend.
And you can thank yourself for that.
yeah. Mitch knows something about blowing up a face-off.
So their captain, Ryan Cousins, grabs me immediately, as if I needed CPR or something. Like, he got right to me, ripped my helmet off, and he's got 7 punches landed before I even know I'm in one. And right by the bench, and I hear Bernie yelling, "Swing, swing!" So I get involved. I got 12 stitches in my head there for that. And this is, by the way, it's my first home game, I should say. I have 45 people up in the box. This is like 6 minutes into the game, so I didn't even play. And I'm in the I'm in the thing with stitches and whatever. Got a little cut there, didn't get that stitched up. And I just remember being like, well, what happened? I don't even know these guys. I didn't do anything illegal at all. I just got, and then they send you to the penalty box and they're like, no, you're not going. Your head's bleeding like crazy. So that was it. That was my first.
Is that your only fight that you've gotten in the NLL?
Yes. 0-1 and retired.
Well, I give the both of you two so much credit. I really consider you guys, and obviously there's guys that have come before you, but you look now, and guys getting drafted kind of left and right. And really it used to be kind of late round flyers, right? Like Mr. Irrelevant. And you used to be able to kind of steal an American kind of late. And now that's just not the case. And guys go, where they properly should go, or even earlier because of the upside and the potential. And, I think you two, and certainly the long lineage of American box players, there's a lot of sense of pride. But I think the same way you guys look at kind of the generation before for setting the stage and giving you guys the opportunity, I think really not only your performance off on the field, but I think the longevity of what you guys, were able to sustain at such a high level. You guys, I think, are a big part of why franchises now are willing to take more risks on guys that didn't have an experience, and now guys have more experience than you guys did. But it's crazy to see kind of now where Americans will go within the draft, and then the leash that they'll be afforded. And I think you two are a huge part of that. So, I want to kind of tip my cap to the two of you while we're talking some boxing, because you two are the two of the best Americans to ever do it. And not just saying that because I'm close with you. I think that that's pretty objective in terms of that statement.
Well, Kyle, I don't know if you feel this way, but
Eric will be offended, but go ahead, Mitch.
I don't know if I didn't know what the hell was going on until 3 or 4 years in. And I think that was like a blessing and a curse, where it's like, you're just going out there hustling, playing the best defense you can. But having to learn, I think makes you maybe more hungry, or just makes you more excited. I don't know. Something about those years where I had no idea what was going on, but just loved it. Where I was like, yeah, I'm still learning. I'm still getting better every day. And I think that made it more exciting. Definitely prolonged my career. Like I had, you're learning when you've already learned so much about lacrosse through college, and then now you're learning at the next level. You're like, wow, this is cool, and I'm getting better and every day.
I completely agree with that. I've got a funny story to go with it. So I had a great mentor on our team. We played together the majority of my career. His second year in his league, he was a captain. Two-sport athlete at Vermont, graduated cum laude either way. So cum laude or magna cum laude at Vermont in double major finance and economics. And his name's Thomas Hayek, and he played for a long time and tough as nails. And
grizzly. He was grizzly.
Not the biggest. He's like Ryan's size, right? He's like 5'9",
but
175.
Had a complete stone hand too, and he would throw. But he was a great teacher. Like, instead of being nervous that his job was in jeopardy, he would teach me a lot of things. And to your point, I did this. There was a play that happened, and it ended up being. I'll explain in a second, but it went well. And we get to the door, and he goes, "You don't even know what happened there, did you?" And I said, "No, what?" And basically, what happened is, Josh Sanderson, Shooter Sanderson, he basically threw the ball off. This is like super savant lacrosse. He took a shot, what would have been a bad shot to my knowledge, right? Which is then I should go turn my head and go to close out. And what he was actually doing is missing the ball, went off the glass because they had cleared out on the one side with me. So he basically threw it off the glass, trying to get me to turn my head and cut right to where that ball was going to be. Right. If you think about this, the marbles to throw that pass, but this is something that Josh had done 1,000 times before to 1,000 other idiot Americans. And they all went, "Oh, look, there goes the ball." And then he went and scored. Well, I turned my head exactly what you want me to do, but I picked it off the glass instead of him and swam him. And now I'm off, whatever, fast break, transition, whatever. And in my head, I'm like, cool, ground ball, goal, ready, set, go. And Thomas is like, you don't even know what happened. And I go, what? He goes, Josh threw that off the glass to himself. Did you know that? I was like, no, he didn't. He was taking a shot. He's like, no, he was not. Josh Sanderson does not miss the cage by 7 feet. And he's like, did you see? And it was just funny. So yes, I completely agree. The learning curve in that was incredibly steep. And then it's steep and takes a while. But I feel like once you figure out that you got it, you're like, it does slow down a little bit. And you're like, okay.
Well, that's when we're coaching the Sixers, like the theory of like being the top guy on defense and forcing them down the wall, like it doesn't matter if you get beat underneath because you have 2 or 3 guys helping you underneath, right? And the same thing when you're the bottom guy, like forcing up, you should have help come. And like the concept, I just have such a hard time when guys like don't overcommit to the top to force guys back down the same side. I'm like, you have help there. You got to trust your teammates, but it's like it takes, doing that 20, 50 times and seeing that support and to be like, okay, yeah, I can trust. That's how the system's going to work.
Yeah, send them that way. That's the when you want to take a shot, do you want it at a low angle, right? Like I was just said this to my son on the way home from basketball last night. I was like, hey man, send that guy. He's like, oh, he's right-handed. I want him to go right. I was like, let him go under the baseline. When you want to score, do you go stand under the basket and look up at it? No, that's not where you score, right? So it's the same concept in lacrosse. Like, let's put them where they don't want to be. Where do you want to be in lacrosse? The middle of the floor. That's it. So simple, but it's tough to explain that to the 9-year-old sons that we have on the floor running around.
Yeah, exactly. They're just trying to make sure their shoes are still tied. Let's go. All right, let's go back to Philly. Let's get the best of Philly according to Kyle Sweeney here for the families that are coming in for future Aces. Phil, like what are the can't miss spots? Whether that's best cheesesteak, best restaurant, best tourist trap. Okay, what do we got?
So from a neighborhood standpoint, the classics are going down to Rittenhouse Square. Saying Rittenhouse Square is really cool. There's some really good restaurants that are there, some classic restaurants. There's the Irish Pub, which is that's just a good stop in. There's Rouge, which is a classic French establishment, which is really, really good. A place that I like to eat, which is a block off the square, is called The Love. It's just called The Love, and the food is terrific. But what's nice about Rittenhouse is you can walk yourself right into City Hall. So there's that neighborhood I like. I also like Society Hill, which is a little closer towards the river. Old City. Old City is more younger and a little bit more action going on. If you're seeking out the best cheesesteak, I prefer Phil's on Oregon Avenue. It's probably haven't cleaned the grill in 50 years, and it helps.
The same grit and grizzle that Kyle Sweeney himself ate.
If you go to Tony Luke's, don't get a cheesesteak. Get the roast pork with sharp provolone. If you're up for it, do the broccoli rabe. That's a must also. And then when you go by the art museum, people don't really know this area, but there's a road called Kelly Drive. Everyone should drive that at some point. It's this windy road that goes down the Schuylkill, right by the art museum and right by the Boathouse Row. So if you've ever been in that area, it's really, really, it's beautiful. So, and that's kind of on you, depending on where you're coming from, that can be on your way to where Eastern is. Eastern's right by the old Cabrini College, Villanova. You're getting off the same exit on 476. So, yeah, I mean, there's plenty to do in Philadelphia. It depends how, so if you're taking your other children there, meaning like you've got other kids that you want to, they were going to drop off your brother or sister and then go take your younger brother or sister. Like the Franklin Institute's awesome. That's a great day killer, and then go eat anywhere you want right around there. One of
Liberty Bell, great 30. That could be a 30-minute, just check it out. That could be an hour. I took my boys there a couple weeks ago. It was an awesome like 30-minute, check it out, read a couple of the exhibits, and then get out of there.
Good restaurant. A friend of mine and one of Ryan's college teammates, Dan Clark, owns, is called Pub and Kitchen. That's right off of Rittenhouse. That's a cool little community. And then if you're interested in, someone's going to make fun of me for this, but if you're interested in like architecture and like the old houses, like if you go down some of the old, where some of the old brownstones are in, why am I blanking on the main street to do it on? But like Delancey and some of these other streets where you just see these crazy, crazy narrow we call them row homes in Philadelphia, but people will call them brownstones or townhouses, whatever. Some of these like 4 or 5 story row homes that are just absolutely beautiful. And, they probably trade for $4 or $5 million. No, I'm not exaggerating. And you walk by and you think you're just this looks like a row home, right? And they're just beautiful, and it's right off of that's just south of Rittenhouse Square. So it all depends what you're into. Philadelphia is an awesome city. It's very underrated in my opinion. Doesn't get the best reputation due to some what people experience when they're down at a professional sports game. But I've been to professional sports games all over the world, and every fanatic's behavior is deplorable. It's not just Philadelphia. So but there's plenty of culture in Philadelphia. The people are way more welcoming than you would think. Way more welcoming when you're actually away from the sports environment.
Well, there you go. Kyle Sweeney's Guide to Philly. You got art, you got architecture, you got food, you got it all. And then for lacrosse, come to Eastern University for our Future Aces Philly, and then
yes.
I promise we won't throw any ice balls at people. It'll be the middle of summer. So
to plug the Future Aces. I am a patron of the Future Aces for the past 2 years, and will be a 3rd year. And I've sent, meaning my son attends the camp. I've sent many other boys, girls to the program, mostly in New Jersey here, and they all come back with great reviews, smiles. They all love Mitch. Have yet to hear a positive comment about Ryan, but they do all love Mitch. And it's a fun experience. It's a huge relief, and it's a throwback to our generation of lacrosse camp, where it has a level of competition, but it does not have the stress component that surrounds every ounce of youth lacrosse these days.
Yeah.
My son does not go there concerned about how he's getting rated or performing. I mean, he wants to do well because he wants to do well, but he really enjoys the atmosphere, the old school atmosphere of meeting new people, staying in a dorm with new people, getting that traditional camp experience that has kind of gone away, unfortunately.
It's a throwback. Get better, have fun, and make some new friends. So hopefully, I'm looking forward to having Owen back. We'll get a whole bunch of the Sixers boys out there in that crew, and then now we get.
He will be at the Jersey one. He won't be at the Philly one, but he'll be at the Jersey one.
Sounds good.